This is the NintendoRepairShop.com, and we are going to replace the touchscreen on a Nintendo DSi. So in some cases it may not work, the lower LCD will be on, you can touch it and it won't do anything, or just maybe scratched and you wish to change it out. So make sure your unit's powered off. And to start, you'll need about 4 tools. You need a number 0 Phillips head screwdriver, tweezers, really handy for your ribbon cables. I like to use a spudger, really helps to open the shell and lift connections and things of that nature. And in some instances you might need an X-Acto knife. So to start, we'll open up the battery cover. You have 2 screws. So go ahead and undo both of those. Turn the unit over, it should go ahead and fall off, and set that to the side. And pull our battery out. And we're going to have 2 small rubber covers here. So if you go ahead and gently pry them back and forth with your fingers, and they should come loose. There we go. And you're going to have 7 screws on the back. You got 2 on each side, 2 at the top, and 1 up here in the DS slot. So we'll go ahead and remove all 6 screws and set those in our little dish. Always handy to have something to keep your small nuts and bolts together so you don't lose anything. If you do happen to lose any, we do sell extra spare screw kits that you can use. The majority we have are for DS Lite, but most of the screws will be compatible between the two. So go ahead and you pry this right here, and just a little bit, you don't want to rip it off. Take your spudger and put it in and go around the side. You can also use your finger. I'll show you how to do that. You just stick your fingernail in the side and just run it around, and that will go ahead and pop your small connections right there, and that way you don't wind up breaking anything. You have a ribbon cable that connects to the motherboard right here for the back of the unit for your trigger buttons and your volume switch and everything. So gently pry that off and set it to the side. You have your Wi-Fi card. You have 2, 3, 6 total ribbon cables to disconnect. So the larger ones, just go ahead and pop with your fingernail. Just lift them up. You have these 2 small ones here though. These you want to use either your X-Acto knife, spudge, or something, and gently lift them, because these small tabs can rip off extremely easily. And unless you're extremely good at soldering, they are terrible to put back on. So go ahead and disconnect all of your ribbon cables. So that's 5. We'll go ahead and take our Wi-Fi card and disconnect that, lay it over, and we'll disconnect the microphone wire as well from its small port. And there are 4 screws to remove. So you have a little one here, and then you have 3 on the left side of the board. So remove all 3 of those, set your screws aside. You can take your motherboard, disconnect your power cable here for the battery as well. That one just eluded me. So if you stick your spudger, tweezers, anything like that under there, and just give a gentle lift, it'll come right up. Don't worry, you won't break it as long as you do everything gently. Go ahead, lift your connection and pull the ribbon cable out, and you can set your motherboard to the side. And here we have the lower LCD and touchscreen assembly. So the first thing we want to do, You want to do it gently as possible. Go ahead and remove, if you use your fingernail, you can run it around the edge, and this border right here, unless you're changing your shell, is a one-off piece that you'll have. So you just want to run your fingernail around the edge of it and be very gentle, because they can crack and you don't want to do that. So we got almost all the way around it so far. Just remember to be gentle, take your time, because you do not want to break it if you don't have another one. There we go. Oh. And this one cracked. They are very fragile, so they can crack rather easily. I'll show you how to go ahead and get it together if you did crack it. So now you're just with the touchscreen and the lower LCD. So you have your lower LCD, which is metal, and the clear glass or plastic, depending on what was used. You just stick your fingernail in it and slowly peel, and your touchscreen will come right off. And same thing, you'll want to recycle this black sticky border right here. So if you set that down, well, actually on these models, the touchscreens we carry, that we just recently started carrying, they have that built into it, which is a nice addition. So what you would want to do is take your touchscreen, take the DS Lite or DSi, and go ahead and just set your touchscreen right in. And after you have it in, you want to go ahead, because you want to be able to push down, make sure it's in place and everything. So you want to go ahead and remove your borders. Get the protective screen off. Go ahead and pull the border cover off. And we can take the lower LCD and go ahead and put that right back on. And that will have everything lined up nice and neat. And we can go ahead, take our lower LCD touchscreen assembly and put them together. So if we start with the touchscreen, just go ahead and put it back in its slot. Close it up. Lay your lower LCD right on the back, and go ahead and put the ribbon cables back in place for the lower LCD. You can also do this while this is just laying in the unit. With the new touch screens though, I do like to, because sometimes the ribbon cable fits a little snugly, so it's a little more leverage and a little bit easier to work with it outside of the unit. So now we have that done. We can go ahead, make sure your latch is lifted for the upper LCD. Lay the camera ribbon cable over and hold it down, and just hold the upper LCD connector in place and slide it right on into the upper LCD connector, and once it's in, flip your latch down and that will lock it in place. We can go ahead and set the unit in. Well, actually, we do have another cover here. This is a protective layer on the touch screen. If you put the unit together and forgot to take it off, you can remove it with it in. Just be a little bit careful. Be gentle when you take it off. So go ahead and peel off this protective layer. Lay everything into place, and we can go ahead and put our screws back into the motherboard to hold that down. So you have the 3 on the left side here. There we go. I got all 4 of these screws back into place. Got a couple more connections to make. One of them is going to be your camera ribbon. Use your tweezers. There is a small brown piece on the end right there, and actually raises up on the back side, so you can use that as leverage with your tweezers to go ahead and push the ribbon cable into place and latch it down. But in this case, I'm not sure how well you can see it. It is tilted, and if it's like that, your DSI will not detect the cameras and they will not work at all. So you want to make sure, this is with any ribbon cable on the unit, if it's not in just right, it won't work at all. So we'll go ahead and put our microphone line, reconnect it to its small circular clip here on the motherboard. The Wi-Fi card just plugs into that slot there. Push it in. You have 2 more things to connect. You have the ribbon cable for the power board, and also the D-pad. This connects all the buttons, the power button and the directional buttons. And this connects the battery to the motherboard. Go ahead and do that. Alright. And now we can go ahead and put the back on. So you have this small connection here. What I like to do is set the unit on the motherboard, or on the back, and go ahead and connect it. There we go. And you can go ahead and goes up, make sure your buttons are in. And then go ahead and put all of your screws back into the unit.
Can you hear me better now? Hello? Okay. Yeah. Another line open and I was hearing someone else. He's making a repeated video right now. So he did. When the phone kept ringing, he was hanging it up.
Alright, and here is our last screw.
Got it right here that we couldn't find a problem with it, I guess.
And we can go ahead and put the battery back into the unit. Turn it over, power it on. You can use a stylus and touch and go ahead and make sure everything works. And it is. One thing you want to do every time is go into your settings whenever you replace your touchscreen, and go over a couple times, and you want to do a touchscreen test. And then once you're done, you touch all 4 dots, make sure it's working, tap OK, and that has everything as far as the calibration. We can go ahead and power the unit back off, and then with the border, we'll go ahead and replace the border on this one. But to show you how you would go ahead and do it, you go ahead and set it on, and there's a small ridge on the top and bottom. So make sure it's in on one side. Go ahead and use your tweezers or something to help you just put just a little bit of back pressure. Get it underneath. And then you want to make sure that everything tightly butts up right there at the crack and push down. And the adhesive on the back of the unit will hold everything into place. And you have to look rather closely to even see it was there. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this after the end of the video. We can go ahead and put the battery cover back on. Tighten up both screws. And go ahead and put our rubber feet back in. And that is a successful repair of the touchscreen on a Nintendo DSi. Thanks for watching.